What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here, proud and ready to deliver you our Week 1 Team Builder for the BTA here in Season 8. We are taking on our good friend Blueskies and her Blazin Charmanders. Blueskies is a good friend of ours. Actually, I met her in college, which is really cool. She's a close friend of mine. She was the girlfriend of one of my roommates in college, so we got really close. We got to know each other pretty well, so really looking forward to playing her here in Week 1. It's going to be a good one, and her team is terrifying. You can see it right down below me. Her team consists of Mega Gyarados, Clefable, Mamoswine, Passimian, Duraludon, Sableye, Meowstic, Zeraora, Galarian Weezing, Charizard, and Virizion. So a lot of threats here, a lot of decent hazard options. You can set up rocks with like Duraludon and Mamoswine. She can set up Toxic Spikes. I believe Galarian Weezing gets Toxic Spikes if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure he does. She's got good hazard removal with Defog on Mamoswine and Charizard. I think that's it. She also has access to screens with Meowstic and Duraludon, which could be very scary with setup threats like Mega Gyarados and Clefable. I was going to set Cosmic Powers on us. And the big thing, honestly, the big terrifying thing is the fact that Mamoswine just kind of rips our team apart. It's dual stab, especially if it's like choice banded or something like that. Pretty much can rip through most mons on our squad. We were when I was preparing for this matchup, we calced agonizingly to try to figure out what we even had that could like take it on. And we found answers, but like they're not great answers. They're not like perfect answers, you know. So yeah, simply put, it's not the best. We're not in the best position, but we'll make it work. We did the best we could, so we'll see what happens. I say we because obviously Ayla helped me prep for the game. She's sitting in on my team buildings while I build. Obviously, I record these after the build is already done, but she's been sitting in on the team builds to kind of, again, learn a little bit more about what I do on a regular basis, which I think is really cool. And it's nice to have another person to bounce ideas off of. So yeah, obviously, a couple things about her team that I think I can exploit. There is a huge gap in speed tiers between Virizion at base 108 and Zeraora at base like 143. Obviously, there's that huge gap. Like Zeraora outspeeds everything on our team, but we have 2 mons on our team that outspeed everything else but Zeraora. So if we can utilize them offensively well enough, I think we can effectively beat down the majority of her mons. So hopefully we can do that as effectively as possible. Hi Wesker, how you doing? Sorry, cat was just walking around at my feet. I had to say hello. Anyway, so first thing we are going to be bringing this week is Tiger the Raikou. We're bringing Choice Scarf Raikou because this allows us to outspeed Zeraora if it's not scarfed, and it also allows us to guarantee to outspeed everything else on her team. Moveset, we're going with Thunderbolt, Aura Sphere, Extra Sensory, and Volt Switch. Volt Switch, pretty standard. Gives us the potential to grab momentum at some points during the match. If we're careful enough with it, she could predict the Volt Switch and bring in something like Zeraora or Mamoswine. So we're going to have to be careful about when we click it. Thunderbolt is just for stab, so we have a strong stab move to click. Aura Sphere is for coverage. Thankfully, we don't have to run the event spread anymore, so we don't have to run it Rash Nature, which is really convenient for us, thanks to the good old nature candies that were introduced this generation. We can run Timid with Aura Sphere, and it is perfectly fine, which makes me very happy. Aura Sphere is there for the Mamoswine specifically. It also allows us to hit the Duraludon super effectively as well. So being able to hit those things is nice. They're probably two of her better switch-ins, as well as the Zeraora. So Aura Sphere will hit Zeraora neutrally for about 35-ish%, which is nice damage as well to be able to get for free. So that's cool. We have Extra Sensory because Virizion could also be a switch-in, and Extra Sensory will do at least a decent chunk to Virizion as well. So we'll make sure all of our bases are covered. It also gives us something super effective to hit the Galarian Weezing with, which we have other super effective options, but like it's very physically bulky, so having some way to hit it on the special side is a lot better, I think, for this matchup. So I'm really happy with this Raikou. I think it'll do a lot of work for us, hopefully. We'll see what happens. Next up, we're bringing Shroomzy, the Amoonguss. This is pretty much our designated Gyarados check. This thing is built to beat Gyarados completely. I've used Amoonguss as a way to beat Gyarados before. It's worked then, it'll work now, hopefully. So, we're fully physically defensive, with Spore, Clear Smog, Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb. Regenerator, of course, for the ability, and we have the Yachi Berry. So basically, I ran a few calcs, and at +1, even +2, the best, like, nothing that Gyarados clicks will OHKO us. Nothing Gyarados clicks will OHKO us at all. And except for Ice Fang, and that's why we have the Yachi Berry to make sure we can live that. This way we can Spore it, Clear Smog and get rid of its boosts, or we can Giga Drain it if it's down low enough. I think we do about 30-something to 40-something% to Mega Gyarados, so it's a decent chunk of damage, so we can get some recovery back as well, and make sure that we can beat this thing 1v1. One way or another, this thing can 1v1 Gyarados, or set us up for someone else on the team to be able to beat Gyarados effectively as well. So, Amoonguss is here for that. The Yachi Berry could also come in handy against the Mamoswine, potentially. Giga Drain will do a very large chunk to the Mamo, and being able to take an Icicle Crash, or live an Ice Shard if we're down a little low, and then be able to hit him with a really powerful stab Giga Drain, could be extremely useful for us somewhere in the game. So, hopefully, Shroomzy will be able to put in a lot of work. I think he will. He always has for me, so we'll see what happens. Next up, we're going to bring Archangel, the Mega Absol, Knockoff, Sucker Punch, Psycho Cut, and Iron Tail. Again, we're running enough speed to outpace Virizion. The rest is going to max out our attack and then a little bit into our HP stat. Just for a little bit of natural bulk, even though it's not really going to do much for us. Knockoff is pretty standard. Get rid of as many items as possible. Knock off some lefties. Knock off some black sludges. Knock off some choice items if we can. That's always a good thing to be able to do. Sucker Punch we wanted to have for priority. So if there's anything that gets a little out of hand late game, we have a priority option to bring in, click, and take it out, hopefully. It's also a good way of getting a little bit extra chip on the Zeraora if it becomes too much of a problem. Hopefully it won't, but you never know. So, it would be a good thing to have. Psycho Cut is here as a super way to hit the Galarian Weezing for super effective damage. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. Any damage we can get on the thing is always going to be beneficial. Iron Tail is also there for that, but it's more so there for the Fable. Because Fable is a very good switch into this thing, and it does not appreciate an Iron Tail coming in. I'm pretty sure it 2-hit KOs straight up. And if it switches in on a knockoff, I'm pretty sure knockoff into Iron Tail KOs a specially defensive Clef, which is really, really good for us. So, either way, this thing can catch Clef off guard and KO it, potentially, which is nice. The Psycho Cut's also good for Virizion. If Virizion maybe wants to come in on a Dark type move, try to get a justified boost, especially if it's knockoff. Knockoff into Psycho Cut, KOs pretty much almost every variant of Virizion I calced for. I calced for probably 5 different sets and spreads. I think it even KOs fully physically defensive, which is nice. So that's cool. Mega Absol hopefully will be able to do some work here. Magic Bounce will be nice as well. If we can predict the Clef right. If it tries to go for like Thunder Waves or Toxics and stuff like that, we can bounce that back on it, which would be nice, as well as something like being able to bring this thing on Sableye all the time would be really, really nice as well, because Prankster obviously doesn't work on Dark types. So this thing gives us a lot of options in that department. Excuse me. Next up, we have our designated Mamoswine switch in, and that is Beyblade the Hitmontop. We pretty much had it narrowed down to physically defensive Hitmontop or physically defensive Licky Licky. And the main thing that swung it in Hitmontop's favor was the fact that Adamant Banded Mamoswine has no way of guaranteed 2 KOing Hitmontop, while there was a chance to 2 KO Licky Licky with Earthquake. And we would have to protect to get the leftovers back on Licky in order to prevent the chance for a 2 KO. So, at least this way with the Intimidate and Max Fizz Def, Hitmontop guaranteed does not get 2 KO'd by Mamo with anything outside of getting critted. So that's really, really good. So this thing can come in pretty safely. We have Protect just in case we need to get a little bit extra leftovers recovery at any point in the match if we're getting a little bit too low. It would be nice to have that Protect to get a little bit extra. Toxic is there just in case we can pick up on the fact that she might be unaware Clef. We can maybe get a Toxic off on that thing on a switch in. That'd be really great. And Toxic on anything on our team is honestly going to be really good, really useful. Close combat just for stab. We can break through things like Duraludon and Mamoswine really easily, as well as Gyarados if it's already Mega Evolved. So that's really useful. And then we just have Rapid Spin in case they do set up hazards, in case they do set up Toxic Spikes. We have a way of getting rid of them pretty quickly. With Hitmontop, I debated on running Boots, but we needed the leftovers to make sure that we had good enough recovery on this thing to make sure that this thing can appropriately come in on Mamo every time, and safely come in on Mamoswine. Yeah, so that's our Hitmontop. Next we have Mongolian the Zygarde. Also with the Yachi Berry, I wanted to make sure that this thing was protected as much as possible. This is kind of like a backup answer to Mamoswine / backup answer to backup answer to Gyarados. The Yachi Berry will just be nice to have. We have enough speed to outpace max speed Duraludon, which is good to have. Max HP so that we could, eat as much of a hit as possible. I think with max HP, we actually have a chance to live an Adamant Banded Icicle Crash. If they're Jolly Banded, then we guaranteed live the Icicle Crash, which is nice. So that's cool. And then I kind of just threw we had 80 EVs left. So I decided to throw the 60 into defense because I'm pretty sure that guaranteed makes us live. I want to say, I think it lets us live after rocks, I believe. And then the 20 leftovers. The 20 leftover EVs I just threw into attack. We're running 1,000 Arrows, Dragon Dance, Glare, and Iron Tail. 1,000 Arrows is pretty much a no-brainer move for Zygarde. Pretty free click against almost everything on her team, and she has one grass type, but Virizion is not great in the Fizz Def department, so 1,000 Arrows will still do a decent little chunk, especially if we can get a Dragon Dance or two up. That'd be really great. Getting a Dragon Dance up is even better, because then it'll allow us to potentially outspeed Zeraora, which is very important, because Zeraora is scary. We have the Glare, because things that might want to switch into this include like Virizion, Clefable. Might want to switch in like an Intimidate Gyarados on this thing. And none of those things really want to be paralyzed. Mamoswine might even be a switch in. If she brings a Scarf set, she can switch in on 1,000 arrows and then be, threatening us with an Icicle Crash. Obviously, she wouldn't know that we have Yachi, but, that would be a hindsight situation. But Glare is just nice to have to paralyze something. And then we checked on the Iron Tail because balls to the wall. Fuck it. If we can get an Iron Tail off on Mamoswine, or if we can get an Iron Tail off on Clefable, especially if we can get to +1 and Clefable's not unaware, Iron Tail does a crazy amount of damage, and it's just good to have. It's good to have because two of the biggest threats against us are weak to steel, so we can hopefully take advantage of that and hit as hard as we possibly can. The last one we're bringing this week is going to be Buzzbuzz the Volcanion. Yes, it's no longer Stanley, it is Buzzbuzz. The reason for it being called Buzzbuzz is, well, Ayla did it. She looked at it and she was like, kind of looks like a cock ring. And I was like, shit, now I can't unsee it. So I was like, alright, what do you want to call it? So she called it Buzzbuzz. I was like, you know what? Buzzbuzz it is. I don't know what goes on in her brain, but I love her. I love her to death. Buzzbuzz, we're running fully physically defensive Buzzbuzz here with the heavy-duty boots. Water Absorb, of course, for the ability. Steam Eruption, Sludge Wave, Defog, and Will-O-Wisp. So this is our main answer to Toxic Spikes if they get set up, as well as any hazards at all, as well as the screens. This is going to be our main way of getting rid of all these things. Defog is very, very important in this matchup. If a screen goes up, Volcanion comes in. As soon as physically possible, Volcanion comes in and defogs it away immediately. Steam Eruption is, again, it's a no-brainer move to bring. 30% chance to burn, 110 base power, stab. The chance to miss kind of sucks, but it does so much damage to a majority of her team that is extremely important to have this. Plus, that 30% chance to burn could catch things like Virizion or Mega Gyarados that might try to switch in and take that, hit, take that resisted hit, and burn them and make them essentially useless. Sludge Wave, I just kind of had added as a way of hitting Clefable a little bit harder. It does a little bit more damage than Steam Eruption, and if she's like a more offensive set, or if she's like a Fizdef set, I think it has a chance to 2 KO, which is nice, even without investment, which is really cool. That's just how hard Volcanion hits. Gotta love it. And then we have Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is more so like, if I predict a switch into Gyarados, I can just click Willow and burn it on the switch in, and a burn on that thing would completely neuter it, and that's great. Plus burns on anything, a little bit of chip damage never hurts to have, and with being physically defensive, we can live hits from most things she has outside of like Band and Mamoswine. We can live hits from most things, get a burn off on them. The chip damage is nice, and will be really, really helpful for the rest of our team to take things down. Overall, I think Volcanion just has a good matchup here too. Defensively, it can tank a lot of hits from a lot of Pokemon on our team very well, and I think with its natural raw hitting power, this has the potential to do a lot of work for us as well. So, yeah, that is going to be the team. If any comments or questions, please, by all means, leave them down in the description below, or in the comments below. Duh, I'm stupid. And yeah, the battle will go up tomorrow. I'll be doing all my battles post-com, because it's just easier. It's easier to do post-com. I don't like how long live comms can take sometimes, so I just post-com everything. It's just easier. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Until next time, I'm PokePrimer, signing off. Peace.